This is the Exoskeleton Report, and we are at WearRAcon17. And we're here with Fourier Intelligence, the first company in China to release a commercial exoskeleton. So, on the technical side, you showed to us that you have a hip-knee powered exoskeleton. And you transfer all the weight to the ground, and you have a spring mechanism at the ankle.
Yep.
For the rehabilitation version, do you have a controller that's detachable from the suit, so the therapist or the operator can monitor the device's performance?
Yes, we do have a remote controller, but it's not a wireless controller. So the therapist can use this controller to control the status of the exoskeleton.
And a wired controller, for those who don't know, everything's wireless these days, a wired controller is the better solution because you have a lower lag time between the controller and motor control, and also you don't have any problems with suddenly losing connection. So it's a much safer way to do it as well.
Yes.
Right. And then you have a new innovation, which is the LEDs, which are at each joint hub. So the LEDs change color and intensity depending on the strain the motors are currently experiencing.
Yes.
So how did you come up with that idea? Was it just someone in the marketing department? Was it an R&D idea?
Actually, this idea coming from the doctors, because during their daily work, they want to know how the patient is active or is not active. Maybe some patients are lazy, they don't want to be trained. So they ask us if there's any way to indicate the training process or the training result for the patient. That's the idea come out. We are adding the LED interaction interface in our exoskeleton robot, so the patient can know if the therapist can know if the patient they are actively 100% or they are just actively like a 50%.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And the last thing is you mentioned that you used the M2's haptic feedback technology in conjunction with the exoskeleton for the X1. So how do the two technologies intersect?
Okay, both of these devices we are using the haptical force feedback technologies and algorithm. So in our M2 devices, we can using the servo motors to simulation the resistance, assistance, force, and the mass of the object. So we can simulate a project like it's a heavy project, a heavy object, or it's a light project, a light object.
So that's when you're in resistive mode.
The resistive mode and assist mode. So in the exoskeleton, we also using the same technologies. So the patient who is wearing the devices, if they have a force on the devices, we can detect it, and the motor can assist the patient on the hip or on the knee. So.
It's just the same technology but in reverse. In this
yes,
case.
it's the same thing. It's just using on different devices, and one is for the uplink and another for the lower link.
Our Fourier Intelligence is located in Shanghai. We do exoskeleton. We are the first commercial. We released the first commercial exoskeleton in China a month ago. Now we have more than 30 R&D people in Shanghai, and we also announced some rehabilitation robots last year.
Oh, fantastic! So you have more than 30 R&D people on staff?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So where did you recruit these? Is there a local university that you're working with?
Yeah, some is our colleague, some is from university or from in Shanghai. It's not difficult to find some talented people. In Shanghai, our area is very similar like Silicon Valley. Lots of people from large company or from overseas, you can find them.
That's phenomenal. So we are at the Wearable Robotics Conference 2017, and you just gave a phenomenal presentation. One of the things that you mentioned is that you've already done one exoskeleton project before that. You've done a fixed frame rehabilitation exoskeleton for the lower body and gait movement. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
We began rehabilitation robot design from 8 years ago. The first is we designed a lower limb gait training robot device. It can provide the very early stage training for gait training for some stroke people, some SCI people. And later we find such kind of machine robot is too big and too heavy and not easy for patient to transfer from wheelchair to the rehabilitation robot. So we designed to build a next generation exoskeleton robot, more light and can do training, and even in future maybe can do personal use.
It's great that you're bringing up personal use because there's clearly this conundrum right now where the rehabilitation time is just not sufficient. A rehabilitation program would normally run 6 to 12 weeks. It's very expensive. One completes it, and more data from around the world suggests that that is just not enough. So this is an opportunity for wearable exoskeleton technology and rehabilitation robotics to extend the rehabilitation into someone's home. But what would you say are the main tasks that need to be achieved and the main technological hurdles before we can see exoskeletons for home use becoming a reality?
The exoskeleton area, one is for rehabilitation, another is for assistive device. Assistive device is the patient cannot recover from the function forever. They use the assistive device to work again. Just like me, without glasses, I cannot. Without glasses, I'm also disabled people. And the difficulty for personal use is far more than the rehabilitation. Since in hospital the ground is clean, and we also can provide lots of safety protection. So our first step is use exoskeleton device in hospital use for training purpose. And for future, we need to collect lots of data since the environment is very complex. We need to know the human intention. Also need to build a large database of different gait curve. And also maybe in future need to solve the balance problem. If this problem solved, then every disabled people cannot work, can work again.
Yeah, that would be great. So on the business side, it's a dream for many of the North American and European exoskeleton companies to be able to go to China and to market their devices in what is arguably the biggest emerging market right now. You mentioned in your presentation that you are looking at a 30 to 40% expansion in the rehabilitation market in China. So I think a lot of these companies would wonder, why are you coming to the US?
Okay. The first, I think the exoskeleton market is very huge. So now this company, we don't think they are not our competitor. Such as a very famous company like Reward, Exo, they are not our competitor. We need together to teaching the market. And for my purpose for this trip is in China, we are the first commercial rehabilitation exoskeleton company. But in US already more than 5 companies announced the commercial one. So we want to come here to exchange our information. We want to learn from this pioneer company. They are experts. We respect them. So we want to learn lots of information from them. In China, in Shanghai, our Fourier, we will not copy their idea, but we think the rehabilitation robot exoskeleton need still have a very long road to go. So we want to know the current what is the next step for personal use exoskeleton, or in rehabilitation what's their newest research. So this is what I'm interested in. Another is I think most people don't know the Chinese market, so they also can learn lots of information from us. Okay.
Absolutely. So you mentioned educating the public and educating investors and stakeholders and hospitals In your case, how were you able to achieve that? How were you able to educate the Chinese government and explain to them, hey, this is a viable technology and we would like to get some funding?
First, in China, lots of people began interested in exoskeleton. Yesterday, the Shanghai Prime Minister also come to our booth to see the exoskeleton. They said this device is very good for disabled people. Since in China, it's more than 10 million people cannot work. So it's a huge market, not only for money, it also have some social value. You can decrease the total social cost for these disabled people. And another is exoskeleton is a very fantastic technology. Lots of boys like this. Very young boy lots of people from their children work to now they all like robots. So they all want to become an Iron Man. So if you doing exoskeleton, it will lots of people will want to know the details of the application area and something else. Yeah.
Oh well, that is fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any closing remarks that you would like to make?
I think the communication is very important for both countries. We are the first Chinese company come to WearRAcon, and for next year, maybe more Chinese company come to this conference. I think the communication is very important for both of us. We want to find more friends in the same area to exchange our new technology and learn from us.
And members of the conference will be going to China this year as well.
Yeah. So welcome to Shanghai, welcome to Beijing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your
you.
time. Thank you for coming. It was
Thank you,
great
thank
to have you. It's great to be able to learn about what happens on other continents, especially China.